My name is Caleb Beer, and I'll be doing interviews with a couple people today. And what is your name?
Hi, I'm Lainey Brown,
All right. And what is your major?
meteorology.
All right, sweet. What got you into meteorology? Tell me a little bit about what got you into it altogether.
Well, when I was about 2 years old, I wandered into the living room and turned on the TV, and Twister just happened to be playing. And I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. I think I'd like to do that. If something else was on, I'd probably be a doctor right now, or
Wow.
who knows what influenced my little 2-year-old mind.
There
I
you
just
go.
thought, that looks so interesting.
There you go. That's pretty cool. So why did you choose meteorology specifically here at Ball State?
Well, since you guys were only about 35 minutes away from me, it'd be easier for me to get here, and you're top 10 in the meteorological departments in the United States.
Great. That's impressive. Are you involved in any clubs here related to weather?
Yes, I am. I'm a part of the meteorology club, and I want to be joining the Newslink team.
Oh, great. I believe I'm part of the Newsleak team as well. It's a great experience. I love it there. Do you have any personal experiences with weather you'd like to share?
I've had a few close calls where I thought a tornado was going to form. It got real close, and then it just happened to dissipate on me. The first tornado I had ever seen in person was in Colorado. It was really crazy. We was driving up through Aurora, Colorado, and it was sunny like 10 minutes earlier, and then all of a sudden it started raining and hailing, and the creek bed just filled up with water. It was real crazy, and then a tornado, it just came down like the side of the mountain and just took off and went. It was real interesting.
Wow.
It was real neat. So I was like,
Sounds-
yep, that settles it. This is what I'm going to do for a career when I'm older.
That sounds really cool. And is there any advice you'd like to give to anyone else coming in for what you know now?
I don't have any advice off the top of my head as of right now, no.
Right, that's okay. And what has been your favorite memory here within the weather community and people in the meteorology club and department?
So far here would be our first time going out chasing. It was a lot of fun. We all worked together. There was some upsets, which that's going to happen. It was just a fun time. I'm looking forward to other chase days later on in the future with our team.
Right on. And then do you plan to further your education in meteorology?
Yes, I do.
Where do you plan on doing that at?
I plan to finish it up here.
Okay, and then what do you plan to do with those degrees? And what would you go for master's or your doctorate?
I don't know. As of right now, I don't know if I want to go for a master's. I might, the farther on I get. Just as of right now, no, I don't think I would.
Okay, and then what do you plan to do with that degree?
I want to get a job working with the National Weather Service. I would like to work with them to send out like warnings for thunderstorms and everything like that.
That sounds amazing.
I would also like to storm chase for them.
Oh, that's right on. Thank you for taking the time to do this interview with me. I really appreciate it, Lainey.
Of course.
Alrighty, and who are we here with today?
Izzy Collins.
All right. What is your major at Ball State?
My major is meteorology and climatology. I've got minors in math and GI science.
Amazing. So what got you into meteorology as a whole?
I'm not going to say Twister because that's a lot of people's answer. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But the biggest thing that got me into meteorology was my grandpa. He worked at NASA for 40 years, and I was able to tour one of the times I was in Virginia. And seeing all the atmospheric projects that people were working on, I'm like, that's actually kind of sick.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, I would love to work with atmospheric science.
Yeah,
So
that
that kind of
is-
started the ball rolling in meteorology.
That is so cool. And why did you choose meteorology here, specifically at Ball State?
Because my tuition's free. And it's really great, but my dad's a disabled veteran, and before like a certain time, if you have some sort of like disability percentage, then their students are able to go to college completely for free.
Wow.
And it's only for Indiana and Texas, which is
So luck of the draw there on that one.
exactly, yeah.
Right.
Hence why I chose Ball State. I mean, there's more other obvious reasons, but yeah.
There you go. Are you involved in any clubs here related to weather?
I don't know. Just, the president of the meteorology club.
Oh, there you go.
Can't say much.
And then, do you have any personal experiences with weather you'd like to share?
I would love to share my March 14th events that happened to be the Winchester tornado. I was with a group of meteorology students. Some of them were seniors, others were freshmen, so it's a good mix between all the people in the department.
Right.
But the one thing that I really love going back to thinking about, is my first time seeing a tornado. March 14th was the very first time I've seen a tornado. And I was in the passenger seat. One of the upperclassmen was driving at that point. And we're going over a hill. There's trees everywhere. And I see a flash of red. And I'm like, that can't be good. Something exploded. And I get over the hill, literally at the crest of the hill, and I see the tornado. It's
Wow.
just a stovepipe. And we're 8 miles from it, and we could see it clear as day. And of
Wow.
course, we're all screaming, we're all freaking out, like, oh my gosh, there's a tornado, it's right there. I'm probably the worst of them, even though I shouldn't be screaming, but that's probably one of my most memorable events. I mean, there's storm chasing trip stories, but that would take up so much time.
Right.
But yeah.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And is there any advice you'd like to give to incoming freshmen?
I could give so much advice. My biggest piece of advice is this is a challenging major. There are so many difficult classes that you have to take in order to excel in the major. Don't let that scare you. Don't let that push you away from the major. Like
Right.
there's calculus, there's differential equations, but that shouldn't scare you from what you're doing. That shouldn't scare you from what you're wanting to do. It's what you love, I would assume.
Exactly. Yeah. Very specific major, right?
Right, exactly, yeah. And that's my biggest piece. Another piece is to get involved. A lot of the freshmen, even me as a freshman, I was very shy, I was very introverted. I didn't even go to my C club my freshman year. I was too scared to go.
And now we're the president.
Exactly. See, you can start out being an introvert and living in your room. That's how I was.
Wow.
And you can, being at Ball State allows you to really jump out your shell. You gotta get to know people. Get to know people within your department. Get to know club organizations, join clubs, talk to faculty, get connections. That's probably the most important thing. Like just get out there, get to know people, make those connections, and you'll really start to grow as a person.
That's amazing. Thank you. And kind of a similar based question, but what has been your favorite memory here within the weather community?
Well, there's a lot. Favorite memory, I would say, can I talk about like a party?
Yeah, of course.
I won't mention anything like.
It's all personal experience.
Okay, good. So, all the upperclassmen had a house at Calvert Street. So, they gave it to Noah and Jay, a bunch of other people. There was a party for the April 7th eclipse, or the April 8th eclipse, sorry. And all the meteorology people got together. Some of them skipped classes to be there, so we could all, as a community, watch the eclipse together. And seeing that solar eclipse, seeing that total darkness and the ring around the sun with all the meteorology people, completely different experience. Like, yeah, you can see it alone, but at the same time, if you're surrounded by the people that you love, that's in your department that you care about, it's just a real experience. Like, I saw many of my friends cry as they saw it.
Wow.
Like men cry, which I mean you don't typically see, like
Wow,
given the
that's
stereotype.
something else.
But yeah, that was probably my most memorable experience because like we just had a good time. We saw something that was a once in a lifetime experience, while also being with the people that we care about in our department.
That's amazing. Thank you. And do you plan to further your education in meteorology?
Absolutely.
What do you think you're going to go for?
So I'm currently in the process of applying to 6 graduate schools. I have Oklahoma University, Plymouth State University, University of SUNY at Albany, Penn State, University of Michigan, there's one other. So there's a lot. And
Right.
there's so much that I want to do. There's so much that I love about meteorology. I was at Plymouth State this summer doing research for synoptic meteorology, so looking at fronts, see how they affect precipitation in a certain forest. So with me furthering education, I love math, which is really weird to say, because a lot of us don't like math here, and that's
Right.
okay. That's completely okay. But I've always loved school. I've always loved academics. Like, I've thrived in classes, and having that research experience this summer, I was like, dang, I really like research.
Wow.
What better way to get more experience with research? Graduate school. So I want to go to graduate school, get more research experience, to work on some really cool projects. It doesn't matter what, which is probably really bad to say because you should have some sort of knowledge of what you want to go into.
Right,
but
yeah.
It's meteorology. But
Would you ever see yourself, you said you love academics, would you ever see yourself maybe teaching meteorology?
yes, I tutor, I do recitation hours. I'll probably be teaching, helping out Dr. Call with weather analysis next semester.
Wow.
Yeah, I've always loved helping other people.
Do you think you'd go for your doctorate at any point?
I'm thinking about it. I'd like to go for a master's after my bachelor's here, work for the National Weather Service for a few years, get some experience there, and then get my PhD later down the road, and then probably become a professor.
Amazing. Well, it looks like you answered my last question there. I never said.
Sweet. Look at
And
that.
then a final question, but a pretty big question. Might be a little personal, but how do you think you've grown as a meteorology student alone?
So this probably ties into advice for the freshmen. As I said, I didn't have friends my freshman year. I stuck to my dorm. I mean, I had my roommate who helped me out, but I didn't get out. I didn't go to clubs. I just went to class. That's about it. I'd maybe talked to like 2 or 3 people. But over the years, the weather community is so different from any other major here at Ball State. Meteorology people will go up and talk to you. That's so much different than any other major out there.
Right,
You don't typically see people come up and say, hey, like, how are you? Like, oh, have you heard about the weather? Blah, 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 stuff like that. The meteorology department is so unbelievably welcoming that, like, as soon as I started getting to know more people in my classes, started to talk more, I was like, okay, these people are really cool. I want to get to know them better. And so over the years, I started to talk to more people, get involved in more clubs. And it wasn't until my junior year that I really started to exponentially grow. I got involved in NewsLink Indiana, which is a really great program. That's probably why I got into my internship, is because of how important and integral that was
Amazing.
to my professional experience and my professional growth. I got involved in Waking Up to Cardinal Weather, which it coincides with NewsLink, right? I got involved in 2 separate clubs. I was on the board for 2 separate clubs. I started tutoring. So there was a lot that I threw myself into. And when I did that, instantly thrived. I instantly got to know so many more people. I made so many more connections. And through that, I was able to get to where I am today. Like, I've got research under my experience. I've got multiple friends in the department. I mean, I consider everybody a friend because, I mean, I'm the president.
Right.
I would assume, I don't want to be hateful towards anybody. Because, no, that's not what I'm about. And, like, yeah, so I've definitely grown, considering just seeing where I'm at today. Like, my freshman year, we would actually start sobbing. Like, I got accepted for a National Weather Service volunteer opportunity, and that was a 3-person panel interview,
Wow, that's amazing.
and I turned it down.
Oh, really?
Which freshman year me would actually be like, what is wrong with you? Why didn't you take that?
Right.
And it was for a better opportunity. And it's only because of this department and
Wow.
how I was able to grow as a person based on how everybody is just so welcoming.
So you would definitely say that the weather community here has helped you grow as a person,
Exponentially.
not just in meteorology, but as in life as a whole.
Professionally, sociably, every single way.
Wow. Thank you so much. You did phenomenal. I appreciate you letting me interview. Thank you so much, Izzy. I really appreciate it once again.
Thanks for the opportunity.
No problem. Alrighty, and who are we here with today?
I'm Josh Groff. How you doing?
Good, you?
Good, man. Good.
What is your major right now?
Right now, I am in meteorology.
Alright, right on. So what got you into meteorology?
Back when I was a kid, I used to really love storms. I actually had my family almost got hit by a tornado once.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is scary. And why did you choose meteorology specifically here at Ball State?
Well, it was the closest option, and it has a great community within it with a bunch of great professors also.
I can
And-
agree no more.
Yeah, and it's not too far away from home, so.
Exactly, there you go. And do you have any personal experiences here with weather you'd like to share?
Any personal experiences here? Just a few like chasing stories and all that, but nothing too big right now.
Right on, right on. And then, are you involved in any clubs here? at Ball State?
Meteorology club, and I'm thinking about joining a few others too.
All right, there you go. Nice. Is there any advice you'd like to give anyone maybe coming into Ball State with a meteorology major?
Always realize that weather's going to change a lot, even just in small amount of days.
All right, there you go. And then, what would have been probably your favorite memory here within the weather community?
Oh, just experiencing stuff with people and being able to hang out and make friends. It's really nice.
There you go. Thank you, Josh, for taking the time to let me interview you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
No problem. All right, and who am I here with today?
My name's Blake Matul.
Alrighty. What is your major here at Ball State?
Meteorology and climatology.
Great. What got you into meteorology as a whole?
As I've gotten older, I've really started to appreciate weather, especially watching all those live streams of people documenting weather, doing history, case studies over them, and just watching the atmosphere change over
Wow.
the years.
That's very impressive. Why did you choose meteorology specifically here at Ball State?
Because this was the most cost-efficient one, because other institutions that had meteorology were much more expensive, so this seemed like the perfect place to think.
Okay, that's right on. Are you involved in any clubs here, weather related?
Yes, I'm part of the meteorology club here, and I'm also part of Newslink. I do middays every other Wednesday.
Wow. Okay, that's really interesting. And do you have any personal experiences you would like to share weather related?
Not really, but when I was younger, I'm from Northwest Indiana, so we really don't get like severe storms that much. We mostly get like high winds, very tiny hail, so not really anything substantial.
Right. Is there any advice you'd like to give to anybody maybe coming into Ball State as a meteorology major?
Join the meteorology club because you meet fantastic people, and the upperclassmen are willing to help you with like doing your classes or even scheduling for future classes because they know the major and they can help you guide your way through your first year.
Amazing, that's great. What has been your favorite memory here within the weather community of Ball State?
Doing our first chase in September because it was really awesome to go out there and experience what it feels like to go out and chase, even though we really didn't get anything, but it's just having that experience and being able to like feel it is like when you finally get that point that you actually get something, you feel like achieved about it.
Right, that's perfect. Do you plan to further your education in meteorology as in a master's or a doctorate degree?
I was thinking about getting a master's, but I was gonna wait until after doing some time in the field for like some gap years until I go for my master's.
Right, that makes sense, of course. And what do you plan to do with your degree in meteorology?
I was gonna attempt to work with the National Weather Service for a few years, then after a few years go on to either University of Oklahoma and get my master's degrees there.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you, Blake, so much for doing this interview with me. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, and who am I here with today?
I'm Joe Sawicki,
Alrighty, and then what is your major here at Ball State?
meteorology and climatology.
Amazing. So what got you into meteorology?
Hurricane Sandy in 2012, watching the coverage, I knew it was for me.
Alright, there you go. So why did you choose meteorology specifically here at Ball State?
When I toured here, I saw their media lab, and because I wanted to do broadcast, it just spoke my name. Other schools were more research-based. I could have more emphasis on the TV part.
Just like the perfect fit?
Mm-hmm.
Right on. And then, are you involved in a club here related to weather?
Newslink, Indiana, I am the assistant chief weather forecaster.
Amazing, how about it? And do you have any personal experiences you'd like to share with me about meteorology?
Nothing really I can think
Nothing
of.
there?
I haven't gone on the storm chasing trip yet.
Oh, okay.
Next summer.
Oh, there you go. And then, is there any advice you'd like to give to any incoming freshmen?
Take a deep breath. Don't worry about everything. If you don't get into a class, don't panic. You have time.
All right, thank you. And what has been your favorite memory here within the weather community?
Within the weather community, probably severe storm coverage last year. Not the Winchester tornado, but I was up until 3:30 in the morning doing storm coverage with Newslink people, so that was a fun time.
Wow, that's impressive. And then I think you mentioned it a little bit before, but what do you plan to do with your degree in meteorology?
I want to do broadcast. That's what I
Broadcast?
want to do my entire life. The dream job is to be in Detroit on Fox 2.
All right. Do you have anything set up for that already?
I do not yet, but I'm probably going to internship after my junior year.
All right. And a little bit of a personal question, but how have you grown personally as a meteorology student here at Ball State?
Just my communication. If you go back and watch my first YouTube video, it was just not that good. But now I'm second in charge of a pretty big organization here on campus. I think people look up to me in my role, and just I feel myself improving each and every time I do a broadcast.
Can you tell me a little bit more about NewsLink Indiana, like what it's all about, what you do personally?
We are a college news station, one of the best college news stations in the country. We have a news department, sports department, and of course, weather department. In my role, I basically help people begin their forecast starting out. I stay in the newsroom for live shows, help them. I post on social media for various holidays and severe weather coverage, and I just make sure I'm more involved with weather than, say, just a generic weather forecaster.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with me, Joe. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Of course.
All right. And who are we here with today?
So I'm Jay Lessick.
All right. And what is your major here at Ball State?
So I am a meteorology major.
Amazing. So what would you say got you into meteorology?
So where I'm from, we get the biggest, most hailstorms in the world. Ever since I was a kid, the hail would be pounding on the windows. I'd be just 4 or 5 year old me right up to the windows. Mom trying to pull me away. I'm just glued to it. And ever since then, severe weather's just kind of
Right
my
on.
passion since
And
then.
where would that be at?
I'm actually from all the way in Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Oh, amazing. How
Oh,
about
yeah.
that? And so why did you choose meteorology, especially here at Ball State, considering you're from Canada?
Yeah, so Canada unfortunately doesn't really have any meteorology programs per se. That we have some like atmospheric science, a couple of those, but they're not quite exactly meteorology. So I was kind of stuck there. Knew I was going to have to come to the U.S. Kind of looked up top meteorology programs in the U.S. Ball State was top 10, so it really caught my attention, and just my love for weather.
Wow, how about that?
Oh yeah.
And are you involved in any clubs here related to weather?
Not at the moment this year. I do actually do NewsLink Indiana. I guess that can be considered a club. So I do a lot of forecasting there, a lot of live shows and recordings just about the weather and yeah.
All right. Do you have any personal experiences with weather you'd like to share? I hear you're a pretty big storm chaser.
Oh yeah,
so.
there's a ton. I know in 2024 alone, I've seen 27 tornadoes now. So
That is amazing.
I'm gonna try and get my first hurricane next week if all goes well. I think my top experience is still Didsbury, Alberta, back home. EF4 tornado. That's the strongest tornado I've gotten. I was within half a mile from it. And
Amazing.
pretty surreal experience.
Yeah.
Saw it from birth to death. So
Wow. And then, is there any advice you'd like to give any oncoming freshmen?
get involved, make connections. I know when I first came here, I was technically a sophomore because of transfer credits from Canada, but I was like a lost puppy there, and I got involved with people. I just talked to other freshmen who were in the same boat, talked to professors, got involved in clubs, and then it kind of just took off from there, and it really helped shape me and the rest of my Ball State path. So I really say get involved, talk to people, and find your outlets.
Right on. And what has been your by far your most favorite memory here within the weather community?
The weather community or Ball State or?
Yeah, I would say Ball State.
Ball State. Probably the Chase trip. We took that as a class. It's a class offered in the meteorology major, and we spent just under 2 weeks out in the plains chasing storms. We really saw everything. We got tornado. We got a big haboob that caused a massive pileup. We got big hail. We got numerous tornado warnings while we were in our hotel. So we really saw everything, and it's a great experience.
Wow, that is great. And do you plan to further your education in meteorology, and if so, where at?
So I'm currently a senior right now. I'm actually in the process of applying for jobs. And depending on how that goes, hopefully I'm able to get a job out of the gate here. If not, I know there's master's programs, not at Ball State, but there's other universities I have been looking at considering, but I'm hoping to just go right into working after I graduate.
If you go for a master's, would you stay in the U.S. or would you find something in Canada?
Again, Canada really only has maybe one program, and it's not as great as the American ones from what I've heard, so I would be staying in the U.S. for that.
Alrighty. And then what do you plan to do with your degree in meteorology?
I like the operational side. I like forecasting. I like sitting behind a computer and just playing with models and sending out warnings, that type of stuff. So I tend to stick in that realm of the meteorology. So I'd probably
Alright.
say something on the more operational side.
Would you work for probably the NWS?
That would be great. Yeah, that'd be ideal if all goes well. But who knows?
Right on.
Yeah.
And then, pretty personal question, but how have you grown as a meteorologist here at Ball State?
As I said, getting involved really kind of broke me out of my shell. I obviously knew no one when I came down here, so I was kind of just shy and scared and thrown to the wolves. But ever since meeting people, making friends, those connections, it's just kind of helped me grow and get involved close with all the professors. It's a pretty small program, so you have a lot of opportunities to get close with the professors. Just a lot of connections and stuff like that really helped push me and shape my meteorology career here at Ball State, and now I feel awesome about it.
It's phenomenal. Thank you so much, Jay, for taking the time to
No worries.
I really appreciate it.
No worries, take care.
Alrighty, and who are we here with today?
You're here with Xander Kane,
All right, and what is your major at Ball State?
meteorology and climatology.
Amazing. So, what got you into meteorology?
It was definitely, if I had to say, it would definitely be watching storm chasers on YouTube. Like, especially Pecos Hank. He's a great guy, love him, and he really got me into meteorology and just weather in general.
Do you have a favorite maybe chase he's done, or maybe a favorite YouTube clip or video?
Probably, if I had to say, it'd probably be his 2016 chase, because that year saw a lot of tornadoes.
Really?
And there was the Dodge City Supercell event, which saw 2, even 3 tornadoes on the ground at a time. It was
Wow.
It was an absolutely absurd event, and it was very entertaining.
Well, there you go. And then, are you in any clubs here related to weather?
I am in the meteorology club here at Ball State. It's great. I love the people, and it's a great time to just connect and talk about weather.
All right. So, do you have any personal experiences you'd like to share about weather?
Personal experiences. One key thing that I love to bring up is my senior year of high school. I worked in the career center there. I did the courses there for engineering, and I was recognized for completing the courses. And right as the event was going to start, right before it was going to start, I was hanging out outside looking at the weather because it was getting pretty weird. And I saw a cloud with a pretty low base, and I was like, that could develop into something. That could be very interesting. And then, I kid you not, right before we were all about to march into the auditorium, there was a tornado warning put out near Rushville, extending into like southern Howard County in Indiana. So we all got sent down into the tunnel. So I basically forecasted a tornado warning.
Wow, there you go. That's impressive. And then, is there any advice you'd like to give to maybe anyone coming in?
If I had any advice to give, it's be hopeful, because when you come into college, it can be scary. You're going to think that you're going to be so piled up with coursework, and you're going to be doing like 1 or 2 pieces of homework every single day, but it's not as busy as you think it is. You'll have, 50 to 90-minute classes. You might have, at most, you might have 3 or 4 a day, like at most.
Amazing, yeah.
And you should have plenty of flexibility in your schedule. Trust your advisors. They've been doing this for a very long time, and don't stress out about course load.
Alrighty. And then, so what has been probably your favorite memory here within the weather community?
My favorite memory would definitely be just hanging out with the club, especially doing the storm chase we had on September 23rd or 24th, where we went out, and not all of us saw tornadoes that day, but a group of us did. And
Great.
It's just a good experience to get out there and see what it's like.
Right, that's amazing. Do you plan to further your education in meteorology? I know it might be a little early as you're a freshman, but do you think you might go for a master's or a doctorate?
I think right now my bachelor's is a pretty comfortable place for me to sit. If I ever wanted to go into possibly education-wise with meteorology, like some of my mentors have, I definitely would want to further my education, but I feel comfortable with the bachelor's right now that I'm aiming for in the
All
4-year
right.
program.
Amazing. And then, what do you plan to do with your degree in meteorology?
Definitely working with the National Weather Service. Specifically, I want to help do field research, like getting out there and chasing storms to get scientific data, as many have before me.
All right, there you go. That's a great one. And then that should be all, but thank you for taking the time to let me interview today, Xander. I really appreciate it. Alrighty, and who am I here with today?
My name is Noah Gordon. I'm a junior meteorology major here at Ball State.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know it's been great. Love my 3 years here so far. Yeah, what do you got for me today?
So obviously you said your major was meteorology,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
then, so what got you into meteorology?
Well, I think a lot of people have a storm, and specifically, that kind of got them into it. And I think just like most people, I have one just like that. For me, it was especially the Evansville F3 tornado in November of 2005. I was only maybe just over a year old, but it was a really devastating nighttime tornado that was a part of a squall line that came through southern Indiana about 2 in the morning and spawned an EF3 tornado, or an F3 at the time, that went through the southern part of Vanderburgh into Warwick counties, struck a mobile home park, Eastbrook Mobile Home Park, especially near Newburgh, killed 25 people. One of the deadlier tornadoes, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary next year, so one of the deadlier tornadoes in the state of Indiana's history, I think between 1974 and it's like probably still top 5, top 10 overall in the state's history for deadliest tornadoes, especially nighttime, late season, stuff like that. Very much something that was significant to people around there. It's one of those things where locals still talk about it today. And I think the thing that really got me into weather is the fact that it was 2005 and you still really can't, you couldn't get any videos or photos of this thing. There's only one photo of the tornado, and it's a super grainy kind of hospital photo. So that idea that things like that still mystify us and we still can't capture them and understand how they happen is kind of what got me into weather.
I really like the way that it was so before it was, you used the original Fujita scale, not the enhanced Fujita scale.
Exactly,
That's,
yeah.
It's impressive that
2
you
or
remember
3
all that.
years before that, and yeah, obviously I know all that stuff, so I've got to be pretty passionate about that stuff.
Right.
So.
And why did you choose meteorology at Ball State?
I was kind of looking around for meteorology schools in the state because I'm from southern Indiana, obviously, and there's not a lot of options there. I don't think southern Indiana, Evansville, I think Indiana University maybe has a program, but it's very hard to find information on any of them. And the schools I really had it narrowed down to were Western Kentucky in Bowling Green, Kentucky, Purdue, obviously, in West Lafayette, and then Ball State here in Muncie. And what really got me into it here was the fact that I simply just kind of enjoyed the vibe of campus, and I really got a good opportunity when I came into the old Cooper Science Building, which has now been demolished. It's now the new Cooper Science Building. And I got to talk one-on-one with Dr. Zimmerman, the department chairperson, the head of the department still to this day, and she basically sat me down and she was like, hey, here's what's going on, here's how we do our stuff here, the fact we have both a NWS kind of path and we also have a broadcast path. I liked that my options were open and things like that, and also it didn't hurt that they also offered me the most scholarship money out of school, so I couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, that's amazing. Are you involved in any clubs related to weather here?
I am involved in a couple clubs related to weather here. I used to be the vice president of the Meteorology Club last year, which is a great organization for lots of people to just connect about weather themselves. And now my biggest thing, still that I've been at all 3 years and hopefully still through the end of my college career, is NewsLink Indiana, which is our broadcast news show here that runs Monday through Thursday nights, 9 o'clock sharp on our Facebook page. It's a really lovely broadcast program, one of the best in the country, actually. We're award-winning in several different categories. You can go in there and see, the full wall full of plaques and awards for NewsLink Indiana. It's really just been kind of a passion of mine, especially since I got here. I had some really great mentors that helped me get into broadcast, understand it, and really, because I didn't come in expecting to do broadcast. I kind of was like, I don't know, I don't really like cameras, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. I want to do weather somehow, but I didn't know where, and I think NewsLink Indiana has really set me on that broadcast path. So that's really my main club here. Meteorology Club is great as well. Those two especially are the ones that I've really, spent most of my time at.
That's phenomenal. That's great. And then do you have any personal experiences with weather you'd like to share?
I think all of us have been on a chase or two. I think just living where I live at in southern Indiana, there's always a summer day or two, or even a fall day now at times seems, where there is storms or there is tornadoes or some sort of activity. I can think of just this past summer chasing the remnants of, I think it was Hurricane Beryl that came up through Texas, and the remnants as it was falling apart spawned EF3 tornado near Mount Vernon, Indiana, that went and destroyed part of I think it was a food processing plant on the outskirts of the city, and I had the wall cloud along Interstate 64 as it skipped and crossed over and produced another tornado going down there. That's a local one. I think the more national one that I really love to talk about is the Storm Chase class here at Ball State, which I took last semester. in the middle of the summer. It was a beautiful way to experience a ton of stuff, not only out in the classroom, but also outside of the classroom, kind of highlighted with the fact we saw a just truly violent tornado in El Dorado, Oklahoma, on the southwestern corner that was multiple vortex, just a beautiful, beautiful structure on the supercell and a beautiful tornado. And, doesn't hurt when the University of Oklahoma's radar pulls up next to you. You might be kind of doing a pretty good job there.
Yeah, right. Well, thank you for that. And is there any advice you'd like to give to incoming freshmen?
I think the biggest thing is to get out there. Be social, be active. Don't be in your room. I know Ball State scheduling has the tendency to a lot of times put you in all these gen ed, English, history, math, science courses where you don't really see anybody in your major. Get out there, join clubs, try things. Another thing, talk to people and try things. I didn't know I wanted to do broadcast, like I mentioned. I tried it for a semester, and 5-6 semesters I'm still here. So obviously, try stuff. Don't be afraid to reach out to people, upperclassmen especially. We don't bite. We're not really that scary. We're a bunch of weather nerds. It's really not too hard to find us here. We're all kind of stick together, and that's what I really like. We stick together as a group, and we kind of help people out wherever you want. But yeah, I'd say be social, be active, and just enjoy your time here. So.
Right on. And what has been your favorite memory here within the weather community?
I think my favorite memory here is, I wish I could pick one. I just like the feeling on the morning of a severe weather day across the country. Whether it's here in central Indiana or whether it's out in the Midwest or anywhere, when you wake up on a morning where there is, a enhanced or a moderate or even a high occasionally, everybody goes crazy. There's just that buzz or that electricity in the air that people get really excited for that I really enjoy. So anytime that happens and anytime you can bond about weather, it really, makes me smile and makes my day go a lot better when I can relate to people. So
that's great. And do you plan to further your education in meteorology? And if you are, where at?
I think right now I'm just going to stick with the bachelor's degree here from Ball State. I know several people want to do grad student stuff. I think I'm kind of just going to stick with the broadcast route and see where that ends me up at. I would love to end up in a top, 25, 35 market, someplace like Indianapolis, who knows, maybe one day like a Chicago. But I think right now I'll stick with the 4-year plan because it's pretty good for me.
Alrighty. And then you've kind of answered a couple of times, but what do you plan to do with your degree in meteorology?
Yeah, I kind of answered that a couple of times, but I'll go here a little more in depth. I want to be a broadcast meteorologist, especially here in the Midwest. I don't really want to move too far from home, kind of stay right around the Great Lakes. Would love to go to a place like Indianapolis. I could see myself going home to Evansville, working at one of the stations there. But I don't want to leave research out of it either. I still want to kind of, keep my options open, keep my avenues still pointed towards things like, occasional research and just public outreach because, that's the big thing too, is you have to work together with private and public sector forecasting, whether it's the Weather Service, consulting firms, all the way back to us broadcast people. You kind of have to know them to communicate to the public well. So doing that especially, and another thing, and things like that are going to really kind of be what my career looks like here in the next 5, 10, hopefully even 25, 30 years down the line. So.
Sounds like you're pretty set with what you know and what you want to do.
Right.
And then we have one more question here. It's might be a little personal, but how have you grown as a meteorology student here at Ball State within the last 4 years?
Oh, I think the biggest thing I've done here in my last 3 years here at Ball State is learned to kind of be cautiously optimistic and cautiously skeptic on things. We love to run to models. We love to run to Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, and you see it even more nowadays with social media just getting increasingly kind of hostile sometimes, where you'll see a winter storm 8 days out, or the tornado outbreak is going to happen this day, this time here. And I think the thing that I, as a freshman, I would see that and you just flip out and be like, oh my gosh, this is going to happen. The weather is constantly changing, constantly evolving, and as much as we try to forecast it, there are inherently problems with it and inherently things with it that will cause it to change that you're never going to be able to forecast or predict. And I think just kind of keeping your head on the swivel is the biggest thing I've learned, because we always have weather, and people always joke about Indiana weather changing every 5 minutes or something.
Right.
But sometimes that's true, and you have to be prepared for it.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Noah, so much for letting me take the time to interview you. I really appreciate it. You did phenomenal.
Of course, man. Thank you.
Thank you once again. Alrighty, and who are we here with today?
Jackson Sloan.
All right. What is your major here at Ball State?
My major is meteorology and climatology.
Amazing. So what would you say got you into meteorology?
I just think it's like all the weather documentaries going up from weather.com, the weather team, people like Jim Cantore, James Spann, just
Amazing.
those people really got me into it.
Right on. So, why did you choose meteorology specifically here at Ball State?
To be honest, it was the closest one to my house, and I know the program at Ohio State isn't that entitled to meteorology. It's more like atmospheric sciences. So that's honestly why I chose Ball State. And I heard they have a pretty good meteorology program.
Alrighty. And then, so do you have any personal experiences you would like to share with us with meteorology?
When I was 8 years old, there was an EF4 that was about to hit my town, or more specifically my house, was in the damage path of this occluding tornado, but luckily it recycled over my house. But later that next day, surveying the damage was just some of the most intense damage I've ever seen in my life. Just trees were debarked, houses swept off their foundation. Now, the only reason it didn't get an EF5 rating is because the houses weren't well constructed, because just outside of my metro area was the countryside and houses weren't built to withstand that kind of stuff.
Right on, thank you. Would there be any advice you'd like to give to maybe anyone coming into meteorology?
I just think getting involved with the people in this community is just really important. You know, build those connections now so it can benefit you later on in your meteorology career.
Okay. And then what has been your favorite memory here within the weather community?
Honestly, just the vibes. I think it's all these cool chase trips that they do every year and now and then, you know. Just think that's really cool. And, you know, I think it can build better connections with people in, like I said, the meteorology group.
So definitely like personal experience.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Do you plan to further your education at meteorology, or do you plan to stick around bachelor's?
I think I plan to stick around bachelor's, but obviously from a money standpoint, if I can go to school and get my master's and get like a higher job with my master's, I think just making some more money would obviously help me in the future.
Right on. And then final question, what do you plan to do with your degree in meteorology?
I think just working at the National Weather Service. I don't really see myself being a chase person because I know they don't make as much money, and, you know, I just want a solid job growing up so I can support my family.
All right. Thank you so much, Jackson, for taking the time to
Thank
interview.
you.
I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you. So who am I here with today?
My name is Rachel Fulton.
All right. And what is your major here at Ball State?
I'm a meteorology and atmospheric science major with a minor in GIS.
All right. So what got you into meteorology?
So when I was younger, I was in second grade. My mom signed me up for this weather camp with, I think it was with a broadcasting channel company, and I know I was really inspired to do weather because they did a lot of different weather like experiments and stuff, and showed us the cool funnel thing. And it was actually Kevin Gregory who got me into it. You know,
wow.
the forecaster.
There you go. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And so why did you choose meteorology specifically here at Ball State?
I chose meteorology at Ball State because when I was touring it with Dr. Zimmerman, it just like, she made me feel really comfortable here. And I also toured Purdue, but I didn't feel as like comfortable at Purdue because the vibes just didn't match Ball State's vibes.
It's a lot bigger school there.
Yeah, and I also thought about Florida, but I didn't want to be like really far away.
Right. And so are you involved in any clubs here related to weather?
I'm involved with meteorology club.
Okay.
And I'm also involved in GTU, which, I mean, it's kind of like, that's geography, but in a way it's kind of related to weather, because we have a geography and meteorology department.
Of course, yes. And do you have any personal experiences with weather you'd like to share with us today?
Yeah, I really, last spring, I think we all really got close as a department when we all like started storm chasing together and like just going out on field and just like learning how to really read the radar and just chase tornadoes. It was really fun because we would go to gas stations, get a bunch of snacks, and just drive around.
Right, that's pretty cool.
It was dope.
And then, so is there any advice you'd like to give to maybe some incoming freshmen?
Definitely, yeah. So the first year usually determines like if you want to keep doing this major or not, because sometimes I feel like they purposely make the classes like a lot more difficult just to like test you in a way and see like if you want to continue doing this. But my best advice for freshmen would be, if you continue going down a meteorological route, stick together in all of your classes, because like you're gonna experience challenges and face like all these different challenges with like math and physics, and just knowing that you have a group of people there that are going through the same thing and like don't really know what's going on too, like in math or physics, just working together at it really helps, and having a group there for moral support is good.
Yeah, right on. And so what has been your favorite memory here within the weather community?
Ooh, my favorite memory, probably seeing like a rain map tornado, and when we all chased together, and another one would probably be when, this is gonna sound really bad, but when the Winchester tornado hit Muncie, everyone was so excited, and we all like sort of helped out in a way when it came to like helping clean up and like volunteer to help out with the post trauma.
Right.
It's an experience I don't think I'll forget.
Yeah, for sure. And do you plan to further your education in meteorology?
I've thought about it, but probably not. Just because like I'm not really trying to get to that PhD level. I don't really want to teach it.
Right.
But if an opportunity does come up and I do change my mind, then yeah.
All right. And what do you plan to do with your degree in meteorology?
I really want to do aviation meteorology. I want to be a hurricane. The dream is to become a hurricane hunter, so they like fly into the hurricane and take data.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Like, how often do you get to be like, oh yeah, I fly into hurricanes? That's my
Yeah,
job.
they select people. For sure,
Yeah.
And a little bit of a personal question maybe, but how have you grown personally as a meteorology student?
Yeah, so I feel like I've grown a lot. I've learned a lot of stuff that like I never knew. I always just like I always really liked the weather, just like looking outside and being like, oh, that's a pretty cloud. I never knew the name of the cloud. that's a pretty storm. That's some cool lightning. And then there's just like some natural disasters that occur that you can't like explain. Like, let me think. Oh yeah, it snowed in like April, like a couple of years back. That's just like, why did it do it like that? And now I kind of like know all of that. And overall, just like I learned how to like storm chase too, and I learned a lot more about maps and how the storms work, and because like every time there's a storm, I always have a family member asking me like, why is it like that? Why is it doing it like that?
Right.
I can actually answer it, you know? I can't just be like, I don't know.
That's impressive. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really thank you for taking the time out of your day to let me interview you. I really appreciate it. And thanks again, Rachel.
Yeah, for sure.